Your dignity, even your resources, God that He will restore. You can become the light. You can become the light of Africa. You can become the light. You can become the light of Africa. You join the blood of your land, the blood of your land, the blood of your land. Hey, you join the blood of your land, the blood of your land, the blood of your land. Hey, and never will you be champion, champion, champion. Hey, I am the mama.
Well, I say,
God says you are underwriter. Only we shall hearken to His commands. It is then that we shall rise, we shall pursue, we shall overtake, and we shall conquer all of our adversaries, and we shall shout out loud. The Lord star forever, the Lord star forever. Oh, long may it flow on land and on sea. This giant Lord never uphold it forever. And shout for the Lord star.
so this is the moment we usually wait for. Shouting for the Lone Stars banner. Good afternoon. The team has returned for another 2.5 hours interaction. 2.5 hour interaction with you, the public, bringing you some of those things that you think you should have say in it. You shall eat the fruit of your land. Good afternoon to you. This is State of the Nation on Truth FM. It's Wednesday. It is the 5th day of June. Of course, we are in the month of fathers. Those who are fathers, those who stay home. I'm not talking about those who run away from their babies. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about those who will stay with the babies, take responsibilities, and ensure that they meet or they see their babies each and every day. So here we are. Good afternoon to you. Good afternoon to everyone online, on air. We are glad and honored to have you join us today again on this edition of State of the Nation. This is the woman behind the curtain. Good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon. How you doing?
I'm good.
Okay.
And you?
Yeah, I'm fine. It's good to be back.
Okay, so we got lots to talk about today. Of course, some analysis, and we got all the power, all the instrument to do some analysis, especially what happening at the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency. Give you reference and why it is this way around. Because I hear people say Barker's action, President Barker's action is now administrative. The boss is the boss. And who told you that? That's how you turn people into being a tyrant. The boss is the boss who told you that. So I will give you the reason why the boss acted this way, or the appointed power acted this way. Unfortunately, the head is a good friend of mine. But if we all want to move this country ahead, then we got to put some of those friendship aside and tell the truth where it belongs. Though Lucky Dube says, if you stand by the truth, you stand alone. And we are not deterred or perturbed to stand alone. But friends, EcoBank and Orange, I don't know how many of you, why are you complaining in the first place that the scratch card is now 120 for 120 or $1, sorry, 220 or $1? Do you know that you can, on $1, you can do 80-minute call on Orange, and in fact, increase outnet call, that means to other GSM? Oh, but the only thing you worry about why they place the $20 there, you didn't even experiencing how long the 3-day free call going. Even though you don't want to call it free day, but well, we got to remind some of you people. Some of you, the problem about Liberia, and it is not only here, it is not only this time. When you given the opportunity and you blow it off, you are looking for companions. You are looking for them. Those who have the opportunity right now, let them blow it off so that I will not be accused alone. We do talk most of this today on the show. But first, Echo and Orange.
Tanu, what happened to you so?
Julie, I worry. I need to pay my dollar school fee first thing tomorrow morning. And today is Sunday. I finish and get 1 cent.
But there's no problem there at all. It's possible you can still pay it tomorrow.
No, that thing you are not level. I'm not joking. If you can't help me, tell me alone.
I can help you. Oh. Let me ask you, have you heard about EcoBank money emergency number?
You say what? Just leave me alone. I'm telling you, I need to pay my money tomorrow morning first thing. And then be open way 9 o'clock. It can't help me.
But you're not even going to the bank, Tanu. All you have to do is to dial *326# and request for 50% of your salary. You will pay EcoBank back within 30 days, and the interest are only 3%. The money will be sent to your account in a minute, and you can use your ATM card to withdraw it from any EcoBank ATM.
Dala, man. You mean I'll get it the same day?
Oh yes, instantly. I mean, in a minute. But to you, EcoBank that baby.
Auntie, so.
Oh, I beg you, yeah. EcoBank can make things happen sharp. For any money emergency, just dial *326# to help yourself out.
EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank.
Router, fast-speed internet, and portable data pack. I have no excuse to not get one router in my house. Yeah, let me run now to put it for me and the family.
Get your home internet router from any Orange store or POS around the country and enjoy affordable data packs that start from $9 for 10 gigabytes valid 30 days to $59 for 125 gigabytes valid 30 days. There's a pack for everyone. Enjoy using the fastest speed internet. Brings you closer to what matters.
Okay, welcome back. And too many things to talk about today. In fact, we're going to have two media practitioners in studio. One is already here, Oscar Mulder with Josh Stewart. Josh Stewart is the hottest in town, speaking at various fora intended to disabuse the minds of media practitioners. So many media institutions are hiring him for consultancy in order to battle the already nosedive nature of media landscape in Liberia. We also talk about the struggling government public relation. What is happening? Is this something strange? Of course, this government set up on a senior pace. What about all the auxiliaries you expect and all those? But are there hopes at the end of the tunnel? This and much more I learned this afternoon on State of the Nation with yes, I will come back. But something I gotta tell you something. I gotta tell you something. Let me go home. I want to introduce my home county to you, Lofa. And somebody sent me a text. They said the entire State of the Nation is Lofa County. Who told you that? Eh? Our collaboration came as a result of an accident. I didn't even know where this young lady comes from, and she didn't know where. We just accidentally we just met and started producing the show. So and then we got to know that we both from Lofa County, and that does not in any way, a transgression. So we are proud to be Lofians. Let me take you to Lofa County with this latest song.
Hey, Uluglagi yo, Natama Adela. Adi Agavo, di.
The Avabese, Avanaza, who the Belgrade the Kaza, Avana, the Marawo.
Let me tell you before we move on. She started out by saying Loma Gete one night. See, Loma people yell hello. Me and my mother are here. Then the mother asks, hello, my mother. Mother asks, what are we doing? Say, we are gathering for an important occasion. That was the inauguration of JNB and Jeremiah Kuhn, JKK. There is a message in this song, okay, and I'll try to interpret it. And it brought to all the 6 tribal groupings in Lofa, reminding them that this opportunity given you as a county, do not blow it off. If you blow it off, you set no example, or you follow the by example of others who have already produced this kind of a leadership you produce. And that message goes to the Lofa people and the Nimba people. There's something to say. The songwriter said this love is unbreakable between Nimba and. But let me leave it there. Let's listen to Adela.
Adi Agavo, di.
The Avabese, Avanaza, who the Belgrade the Kaza, Avana, the Marawo.
True FM 96.1, the heart and soul of Liberia.
Quiwalazo, the Lama people say, it means in the town square. Let's gather together to make history together, to move a country forward. And you know this is all Norfolk County. You just said 50 years of existence of the Zaza Current Lutheran Hospital. Congratulations to all of you who laid down your lives giving health services free sometimes in sometimes difficult period. CSA, Momo Saros, Senator, all of you attended the occasion. Galakbai Kotimai, and Internal Affairs Minister. So in 3 minutes, we get straight to the point. Okay, so she's naming the various Loma speaking people: Gizima, Bluyema, Bonde, and Wubome. The Bonde she speaks different Loma, but we all understand one another. And that's the uniqueness about. I'm simply this one to defy you who sent me text this morning and told me that the entire state of the nation is low. What wrong have we done to be a Loma, to be born a Loma man or a Kisi woman?
Are you really taking that serious?
No.
I think that person was actually kidding.
No.
No,
not kidding.
And seriously speaking, we should get away from the issue of tribalism.
Yes.
Let's stop being too tribalistic.
Yes.
And when I listened to the press conference that was held at the DEA, right?
Yeah.
Organized by the Director General, who is on suspension right now, he said something that really I really got so annoyed. I got so I got so I felt, I didn't feel good. I felt I had so much, I don't know how to describe it, but he was telling one of the journalists who asked questions concerning issue of the tribe thing.
Yeah.
And then he said, I did not choose to be a Mandingo man. And most of the people, I'm not doing NMPR for you, right? But the issue of always
that's why you are doing now. Do your usual PR now.
What usual PR? Stop man, stop you on there.
Oh, you know how the boss?
Yeah, but
stop man.
But okay, please stop. Yeah, stop. Why you always like to? All right. Yeah, so I mean he said it and I just want to capture. He said a lot of things and a lot of things I worry on. For me, I don't even feel so good. And I every time I say your little sister, I say big brother, right? We'll talk about that. But the issue where he mentioned I did not choose the tribe, God put me where he wanted me or he wants me to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel I said, but this thing we have to stop this. Yes, we have to stop the issue of tribalism. It can't go anywhere. When somebody is qualified, let them do the job. As long as that person is qualified. And that's why every time Article 18 have, it gives us, as a Liberian, the right for you, as long as you are competent, irrespective of your political affiliation, your sex, your religion, your tribe, we should get away from that. We are not going anywhere if we continue to be pointing our hands to things that keep us going backward.
Mhm.
Nothing ain't doing nothing for us. let's stop it right now and go to Washington before they say happy.
Yeah, so we're coming to that,
Yeah.
and we're going to discuss this with open mind. Trust
Yeah,
me.
sure.
Okay, so let me recognize some of our ardent viewers on social media. Aaron Massacre, you're there in Tabon County. Yaya Toure, you're there in Single. Emmanuel Shema, good afternoon to you. Lua Carter, Jeff Commune, Ahmed Aaron Odesco. I still have not seen the name that I'm looking for. With no offense to those who have already done it. Okay, Emma Hammer, yeah, good afternoon
I'm
to
listening,
you.
April.
Emma operates the most reliable, the safest foreign exchange bureau in Kakata. If I in the whole Magibi, whether you like it or not. Siliki Tuarare, good afternoon to you. Mafi Ndole, watching from Bapulu County. Good afternoon to all those tuning in Bapulu County. Amadou Kamara and Samuel Jacobs Pekin. Good afternoon to you all joining us this afternoon on State of the Nation. As I said, we have George Stewart, a public relation expert, a trainer. George and George is partnering with the Advanced Media Consultancy. We've done so many things in partnership with George. The last time we had a Project Writing Summit, out of 55, 43 received certificate, and they are in the world, go in the wild, gone on their own, and are winning projects on by themselves like no one business. So Josh is going to be with us. As a matter of fact, having just had a meeting with George this afternoon, before we came on, we have come to the conclusion and we settled down. They're coming up. There is a training coming up, and I think I should break the news. It's a strategic communication training course coming up under the auspices of the Advanced Media Consultancy in collaboration with partners that includes Josh Stewart, who is being hired at least 3 or 4 times every month to speak and to disabuse the minds of the generation that we expect to leave Liberia with. Josh is with us in studio. We expect Oscar Modba, one-time head of news, to come and join George because we're going to be talking a variety of issues. Today is International Environmental Day. I've got the news to break to you. I've done all my due diligence overseas. They've replied me. They seem adamant. They seem intransigent, and we can't keep holding on. What are we doing? Multi-billionaires are coming in and buying portion of our dense or tropical forests. Since today is the Environmental Day, we will let it out what we've done, what intervention we've done, and there seems to be no clue at all, no answer from those who are handling the green note to purchase your forest. These and much more coming up this afternoon on State of the Nation. Magdalene, what's the latest? Yesterday, I abbreviated my stay on State of the Nation, and while driving to town, I tuned in. At the end of the day, it became so interesting. Dr. Ofala and you talking about agriculture. The symposium is coming up. People are coming, signing on. Sitting is free, but you have to pay for the form $150 Liberian dollars. 100, because we don't like. It's not good to do something free. It's not good to do something free, and just 150. Come up. You're going to meet the policy makers, those who are in the agricultural sector, people who you've tried to meet, but the schedule cannot permit. This is the moment. Come. By the time we reach our target, which is around 25, since we are around 15, we will close the book and announce the date for the agriculture symposium. This country must feed itself. This is too much. This country will have to feed itself. And Madeline is the one heading that one. And she tells me people are coming, signing on this morning. And I saw the fact, yes, the funds are being returned. But one good news is that those who will be serving as volunteer recruiters for Dr. Ofala and partners intervention in the agricultural sector. Good afternoon to you, Mike, once again.
Yeah, thank you. I thought you were just going to just continue the announcement with recruitment, the county's recruitment.
Mhm.
Yes, we need yesterday, those of you who followed the county recruiter,
Mhm.
meaning you're going to serve as our coordinator
Mhm.
there. So if you all you have to do is to because he's from the cooperative.
Mhm. Yes, that's a cooperative area.
Yeah, so what you have to do is to your name, send your name, your number, your email address, your district, and your county. Yes, if you want to serve as a recruiter, meaning you're going to be recruiting other people, not only people that you know, not only your family, your friends. Yes, but you're going to do it, and well, we're going to already scrutinize the entire stuff, but you're going to serve as our point man. You're going to serve as our coordinator, as our recruiter. So all you have to do, those of you who if you send a message on the other number, well, I'm telling you now to send it on 0777 253 I received almost 10 information. I received 10 persons information yesterday. Even up to now, people are still sending in their information. So that's it. 0777 253 0777 Do not call me, please. Yeah, don't call. Just send your information if you want to be a recruiter in a county, in a district, or the district you are from, and then we will do everything that we're supposed to do to ensure that yes, even people started sending information to that father. He forwarded everything to me. So all you have to do, send your don't call me, just send those messages to the number that I just called, and subsequently on the show I'm going to be announcing the number. Those of you who have not sent and you are very much interested. And then furthermore, we have our orientation coming up on Friday.
Mhm.
You see the veteran here, he's very much passionate about training more young people who are who wanting to become professional journalists, right? So you can come. If you got interest, come. Those of you who have been calling, those of you people have called me, told me, oh yeah, I'm coming to see my children, I can't believe my daughter in your him, I can't believe my son and stuff like that. So we can start from somewhere. So my very good friend in the office of the our CEO, Mr. Bedete, Mr. Musa Bedete, you are there, I forgot your name. You say your daughter is in a university and you want her to come and be, yes, that's another good way she can come, and then yes, we can all be here together. And other people to wonder, Papi, I met him in Saclay PA. He said you're brilliant. I know he's 9 years old. All of you. So it's really a good time now for you to come for the orientation. Even if you have not paid anything yet, come and be a part of the orientation. Yes, but it is not free. No. It's not free. Yes, it's not free. And the little amount that you have to pay, you have to do it because we need to buy marker. We need to keep up, the entire place. It's actually peanuts, right?
What you can say, we need to pay the lecturers too.
The lecturer.
Mhm.
That's pro bono.
Yeah, pro bono.
Yeah.
Now it's pro bono that broke down no car.
You ready?
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, so the orientation is on Friday at 12 o'clock, and the CEO, the founder, is going to be here with us to take you through. He will drill you through everything that you need to know. So that's it, and the symposium is coming up. So I think that's what I have now. Yeah, we can.
Okay, so thank you. And it is exactly 10 minutes after 3 o'clock. We got something coming up. The two journalists are in studio, Oscar Malba and George Stewart. We got variety of topics coming up. They all intertwine or tied to our contemporary national fabric. And then it's going to be a long discussion, intermittent breaks for you to participate or call them to check or checkmate them. That is, you want to disagree with them. And then when we clear that, we go for part 2 of the discussion. It's going to be a while. As a matter of fact, let's announce the president is still away. And the president has asked has thrown his axe at the LDEA, those and much more coming up. But first, we like to first issue this disclaimer. And this is it.
Hello, my name is Gerard Willett. I'm an Australian in my mid-50s. I'm also a journalist who joined the media industry in 1983, firstly as a radio announcer. Then my real passion of journalism blossomed and I moved into current affairs, talk radio, and journalism in general. All of this opened my eyes to the happenings in our world. I love being a journalist. It's a passion. It gives me a real sense of being, a way that I can help report history as a historical almanac and also help shape history. I was taught the old ways by an elderly Australian journalist whose name, for privacy reasons, cannot be divulged here. My grandparents, who raised me as a child, had a huge impact on the way I think, and knowing the importance of the important and finer things in life. They instilled in me a sense of responsibility, which has seen me in Feinstead for all of these years. Nowadays, I read, listen, and watch the news and currents on TV and the internet, supplied by the mainstream media, and in some cases I just shake my head in disbelief. I ask myself, why would a journalist ask such a disrespectful question, or intimate by way of a throwaway statement or remark an untruth that is unfounded and in some cases completely false? I feel the real reason some journalists in the mainstream media conduct themselves in this manner is purely to grab an extra ratings point or to impress their gravely misguided news directors, or basically just to keep their job. How sad. Where did this all go wrong? You know, most mainstream media organizations do have a journalist code of ethics. Sadly, these simple rules and guidelines are sitting collecting dust in an archive box somewhere in a dark, damp abyss. Many years ago, I came across a document called the Journalist Creed. It's a very simple set of rules and guidelines that encompass what journalism is and how a journalist should conduct themselves. Sadly, few journalists in today's mainstream media come close to the principles of this creed. A little history. The Journalist Creed was written by the first dean of the Missouri School of Journalism, a gentleman by the name of Walter Williams. Now, more than 1 century later, his declaration remains one of the clearest statements of the principles, values, and standards of journalism throughout the world. Plaques bearing the creed are on display at the Missouri School of Journalism, the National Press Club in Washington, D.C. since 1958, and very many other locations around the world. Now, if you've never heard it, nor seen it, here it is. The Journalist Creed. I believe in the profession of journalism. I believe that the public journal is a public trust, that all connected with it are, to the full measure of their responsibilities, trustees for the public. That acceptance of a lesser service in the public service is a betrayal of trust. I believe that clear thinking and clear statement, accuracy and fairness are fundamental to good journalism. I believe that a journalist should write only what they hold in their hearts to be true. I believe that suppression of news for any consideration other than the welfare of society is indefensible. I believe that no one should write as a journalist what he would not say as a gentleman, and that bribery by one's own pocketbook is as much to be avoided as bribery by the pocketbook of another. That individual responsibility may not be escaped by pleading another's destruction or another's dividends. I believe that advertising, news, and editorial columns should alike serve the best interests of the reader. That a single standard of helpful truth and cleanness should prevail for all. That the supreme test of good journalism is the measure of its public service. I believe that journalism that succeeds best and deserves success, fears God and honors man, is stoutly independent, unmoved by pride, opinion, or greed of power, constructive, tolerant but never careless, self-controlled, patient, always respectful of its readers but never unafraid, is quickly indignant at injustice, is unswayed by the appeal of privilege or the clamor of the mob, seeks to give every man a chance and, as far as law and honest wage and recognition of human brotherhood can make it so, an equal chance, is profoundly patriotic while sincerely promoting international goodwill and cementing worldwide comradeship. This is a journalism of humanity, of and for today's world.
Okay, so that's the background of the journalist creed. It is like an oath that all journalists must take before getting into the profession with a deep sense of responsibility. The narrator said, the narrator says he got, as a journalist, what made him a proud Australian journalist, because journalism made him to have a sense of responsibility, and the list goes on. So I have two journalists in studio here. They may not be in the mainstream, but they've come in the mainstream. They've gone and they are all out treating, speaking and conducting workshops all over. The reason why we play the journalist creed is because we are guided by this creed, and what all we are about to say, if we slip, do not hesitate to call us to check. We're not infallible, we're not indispensable. This is State of the Nation is a platform that you can rely on, where civility matters, though we speak truth to power. So, gentlemen, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Chris. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's always a pleasure to be home, Chris and Magdalene, and I'm honored for the invite.
You always feeling home when you come?
Yes, I think so.
So why you don't come here unless you have an appearance? That's the point I'm making.
But don't forget now, I was just here a couple of weeks or months ago. When you have the Musa Benedict School.
I didn't see you. You came to see the guest speaker. I'm saying to come and tell us, yeah, gentlemen, you passed by.
Okay, no, I think you're right about that.
So how do you treat your home like that?
Well, sometimes when you are away from home in Liberia or in Africa, we say you have to stay away from the family sometimes so that they miss you, and so that the family.
So let me just remind: this is not a homecoming ceremony. Okay, welcome, Oscar. 1 time ahead of news. Oscar is now the owner of JPEL, that's journalists. For what?
Journalists Initiative for Peaceful Elections in Liberia, but we are currently in the amendment process. We're changing the name from just election. We're going now into justice, democracy, and human rights, and we will shortly announce that.
I think it's a smart approach.
Yes, yeah.
You see what? George is so sensitive. His attendants are so erected every time he listens to something that is intended to transform the society.
Yeah.
Josh, just in less than one paragraph, Oscar spoke. You just outrightly say it is welcome without even evaluating whether or not JPEL actually stood by his term of reference.
Well, Chris, I heard the name before, and I got a little bit jittered because elections are usually occasional,
Mm-hmm.
It's not an everyday thing. But I think such a vibrant, promising group could make greater impact on our governance, on our democracy, and then leaving the rest of it. If only they had thought from the onset to widen the scope. But it's never late. They're smart enough to catch up on it. And I think the sky is their limit. They can also still make their own impact.
Thank you.
In the field of journalism, democracy, and a lot of development work. I'm a development worker. In fact, he's reminded me of my certificate.
Mm.
You have a certificate of honor from Musa Belede School of Journalism.
Yes, which you feel to come and pick up.
Well, I'm here. I'm here.
Sorry, I don't have break to my mouth today.
But you always say, I don't know. I'm the one that I will take the blame. I should have presented a long time.
And since the occasion, you've been here 2 times.
So I take the blame.
This is something never gets expired.
Yes.
You know, it has got a space in my home. So I'm going to just take it and put it into the reference space.
Okay.
So, Chris, just before we even stretch further, let me say thanks to George. But again, you know, I was opportune to attend an election workshop when the late Henry Flomo was alive, sometimes in Ganta, Nema County. And during that training, we were told about the election cycle. You know, a lot of people feel that election is just about the voting day, you know, but it is a cycle, and that cycle runs almost like the entire year, the entire time is just revolving. So there are too many things before election, even after election. So when we say election, it's not just about the day that you go to vote, no, or the day that the results will be announced. However, having listened to a lot of recommendations from people like Adam and Dexter, he's working closely with us, and I can also announce to you, the Liberian people, that we have gotten the full support of Honorable Bility. I'm talking about Mr. Hassan Bility, not the CEO, Honorable Musa Bility, but the justice man, Honorable Hassan Bility.
I mean, I see you again.
Yes,
Okay, yes, the former CEO.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so we've been able to get the backing of these people, so we have to listen to their recommendation.
Okay, so since we're talking election matter, let me just tease you people with this one. This was the moment of one of your students. As a matter of fact, Oscar was one of the lecturer at the MBSPJ, Musa Belede School of Professional Journalism. No, I don't. I pay. You know, I mean, it's not easy to run school in a place here. But this is one of your products versus the National Elections Commission dreadful chairman or chairperson. The woman who doesn't stumble over words.
Oh my God.
Who herself became a journalist before becoming a chairman of the National Elections Commission. And it was like a David and Goliath situation. Listen to this one.
One of the observers in this process, the ECC, in their report, cut off a electoral district number 4 Nema County, specifically the Dwole Public School, where the VR was caught, allegedly caught, voting multiple times. So you care to give us a reason why those names were dropped, and those who were recruited, where were they taken from?
Let me go on your last information about a VRO being caught. I just hearing it from you. But if there's anything to go by, I'm sure it's going to reach the Elections Commission. With respect to dropping poll workers, I'm not sure that poll workers were dropped. But if for any reason they performed in the 10th October and they didn't show up in the 14th November, then perhaps maybe something went wrong. I don't know. And what could have possibly been wrong? Maybe they didn't show up or they didn't perform well. Now, that part of your question where you say to recruit.
You have proof for this thing that you're talking about. That's what I said allegedly. And if you got proof for this thing you're talking about, it's serious. It's very serious. And if we have to put you, we'll be putting you to the LNP. That's what I said allegedly on Jefferson. I just want to put you talking like that.
So intimidating.
That was an intimidation, man.
Yeah,
This child, let me put it in quotation, who wants to be a journalist is facing a commissioner, not only a commissioner, but a journalist.
A journalist commissioner.
A journalist, a woman looking into the face of the lad, telling him that just now you see a leisure. But So,
I think he was just trying to pull his leg to see whether he was.
but that's not how you pull a leg of. This man would have fallen short to the intimidatory tactics, and then.
So that's why I think it was a learning curve for him. Chris, sometimes don't forget now, the person in question we're talking about is a veteran journalist. So she has her own way of testing journalists to see how firm they are on whatever points that they are raising, whether they are able to clearly communicate. So you need not to bow to pressure, and I think he was.
And that's exactly what he did.
But I think he tried. He tried. But even others fell to that pressure. Some of them could not go further in and speak what they actually meant.
And Josh, he's a graduate of the Musa Belede School of Professional Journalism. That's Kopa Sangar.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's why people need to come to the MS. How do you call it?
MBSPJ.
Yeah, MBSPJ. Yeah, Chris and Magdalene. I will come back from my.
As a Musa Belede School of Professional Journalism.
And then I just
No, but we clear all the lecturers except. When I called you last time, I said come to Ghana Choba, our meeting place. You didn't come. Yes. Yeah.
But thanks to you both, man. You guys are doing well. And we are out there, Chris. We are out there encouraging other people to come to the Musa Belede School of Professional Journalism. This is our home. We know there are other media institutions. We respect them, like the one Tactus Stupa is running. However, the fact that this is our home, so
we got a certificate for Tatus. At the last graduation, he was one of our honorees for taking his time entirely in media development. So
he is really doing well.
Okay, so let's get into this thing. We're going to go politics first. Then we come to the state of the Liberian media, the state of affairs of the Liberian media. It's not been faring well at the Liberia Drug Enforcement Agency. I don't know if I were one of those who were appointed in our place, I would have reminded myself that it is public enemy number one for the current president, because he announced it and even availed himself to do drug tests, which he came up clear. They have been hauling and pulling, but two persons people believe they should be brothers, Koroma and Fadi, right? From Nimba County and Grand Bassa County. It happened, they got the executive mansion so embarrassed. The executive mansion personally got involved, intervened according to the Ministry of Information, Cultural Affairs and Tourism. As if that was not enough, the two at loggerheads again on Monday. And this time the president, though far away in Seoul, South Korea, said, well, the two of you have to go. People said, you have to be suspended. And left an officer in charge. The three persons, the director general, the deputy for operation and administration, are asked to suspend her without salary until investigations are concluded. Enough is enough. Some people say, well, I think the president is getting tired with this kind of thing. George?
Well, it's regrettable, and I think it is so far the biggest distraction when it comes to the fight against drugs, considering the impact that menace has on the young population. Here is a country, 60+ young people, and then they are going to drugs on a regular basis. They are leaving homes and going into graveyards, grave sites to live. That's appalling. And then we got these energetic young guys, professional security guys, by their credentials, their education, their workplaces, experiences, and then only for them to go on public assignment of that sort, enjoy the president's confidence, and then they've betrayed that. Beyond that, the public trust. And this, I mean, I listen. I watched some of these interactions on Spoon, and then it's nothing new. They started off by the time they got there, and they've been at each other's throat. And then you don't really see them as zealous as they started up against, the campaign the call to duty.
Mhm.
So it is embarrassing. It is embarrassing not only just to the president, but to us as citizens, because there are a lot of us, in fact, everybody is concerned, about the future of this country. We work today, but for the young people tomorrow.
Mhm.
And if we all are faded away, doing drugs, eating their future up, and then we got the folks responsible to make the difference. Since, in fact, the Liberian people felt the CDC government didn't do much, for which they took decision, right?
Mhm.
On elections day.
Yeah.
Now that we've got the new government in place, and the new government, the president spoke on that about the future of young people, especially fighting drugs. In no time, the giants like Abe Kuma and his lieutenants went into fight. That is unacceptable. We think the president needs to act.
And at the celebration of drug users.
Right. Beyond that, and there are a lot of sweeping allegations here and there, so to say. And I hope the investigators, in fact, I think there are two types of investigations ongoing. I don't know how far they'll go because there's always this call for investigating, and sometimes the reports and whatever delay ever so much. The legislature doing a set, they've announced a set of investigation they are doing, and then the executive through the Justice Ministry taking on another one. We need to find a redress to this because all of what we're talking about, whether administrative or whatever, the problems are still there and eating up, the fabric of our young people's future.
Oscar?
Yes, so again, I share similar thoughts with that of George. It is embarrassing. It has been embarrassing. It is still embarrassing for the public to hear, that a group of people, grown-ups, had to go into altercation. Chris and Liberians who are listening, whenever an individual signs up for a job, there are two things, amongst the many conditions that are presented to you. Number one, for you to be able to work under pressure. And then you are also asked if you are able to work with diverse group of people. So it is unthinkable. I cannot fathom how you will have, the director and his deputies, very educated, highly educated men, respectable men, or men who should be respectable in our society, would not understand that taking on such a job will mean that you have to work with people who come, with different backgrounds, different school of thoughts, different orientations, different upbringings, different philosophies, and things like that, different temperament level. So you should be able to adapt. Besides that, when there is a situation wherein you have conflict or confusion, misunderstanding, you sign up for working under pressure. So how come that you will sign up for working under pressure and then you resort into, such an embarrassment and a display of disorderliness on the part of people who should be role models in our country? Like George said, young people are looking up to people who are in leadership positions, whether it be in government, in the private sector. The young people are looking up to them. So, and I listen to Magdalene most of the time, she talks about that. So if you sit somewhere wherein people are looking up to you and you are not conducting yourself in a formal manner that you should conduct yourself, then it only speaks to your understanding about job etiquette, because you no matter what, no matter how pressing the situation is, job etiquette says that you cannot fight on the job. So it's like the kids advising the parents. That's how I see it. So it is embarrassing, but thanks to His Excellency the President, who moved in swiftly, unlike the past administration, where we saw some government officials, involved in these kind of acts, and nothing was done by the chief executive. But the president took appropriate action, and yes, we support the president. We commend the president for suspending the three of them.
Okay, so the two are on par with this one, but let's go back into history. Joe Malba, the late peace be unto his ashes, versus Milton Tiaje at the Ministry of Information. Charles Taylor is president. Charles Taylor struck Milton Tiaje with suspension, left Joe Malba. Later on, Joe Malba was removed, and some monies were given to him. Then he organized his own public relations firm, Center for Historical Research, chair for short. Then, who came next? Reginald Goodrich. Then, other Mr. Yeah, Gregory Coleman, now Police Inspector General, versus Briswell, his deputy at the Bureau of Concession. Mr. Briswell was seen or captured on camera standing on the decks of his boss, Greg Coleman. George, we are suspended. Briswell, and later on came back with no further punishment. And as if suspension had not taken place, the situation remained unabated. And then Greg signed off and said, I resign. So, contemporarily, it is A.B. Kroma versus Fadiga.
Yeah.
So, President Barker said, okay, the two of you will go. Instead of my predecessor, what they did, I will not do it. The two of you will go. People say it is administrative, but this is their argument. The executive mansion have personally intervened when it started. I, as an administrator, I intervened between two staffers. And it is still happening, and I still have the confidence in them, but they don't see the confidence within themselves. The first thing I will strike two or all three, which in my opinion, President Barker did. People say he should have let the deputies to go and leave the proper. What do you say about this, George?
Well, crisis management.
Mm-hmm.
If you went at the LDA as we speak, the absence of the three, or say the principal two,
mm-hmm.
their absences have calmed that place. So sanity is restored. So for me, I see it as wisdom on the part of the president.
Yep.
The fact that he's away, and the joint security chaired by the Minister of Justice is supposed to do whatever probe required as a way of restoring calm. You know,
mm-hmm.
He took them off. As a matter of fact, this is not the first time. The two gentlemen went a local head. And for every time they do this, they will be in the press. You know,
mm-hmm.
They will take the public glare. And then there was a compromise. I understand the executive mansion intervened. There are other people who said they intervened.
Mm-hmm.
So they went back and did the worst. So for me, on a temporary context, they have to go and rest. Let them drop the tempo. Let them subject themselves to the investigation as the acting, as it is being, ordered by the president,
mm-hmm.
takes on,
But George, let me interrupt you before I come to
of the LDA
mm-hmm.
continues.
Let me come to before I come to Oscar. Let me ask you this question, George.
Mm-hmm.
The misunderstanding at the LDA, they don't only or it's not only around the three heads. It left the entity completely divided.
Yes, of course. That is the.
It left the entity completely divided.
Yeah.
So, what becomes of those people? You don't think even taking the three of them out?
So the gentleman in charge right now
mm-hmm.
should know he's taking leadership on a divided atmosphere, right? They got people who probably loyal to A.B. Kroma, the other guy Fadika, and probably the guy for administration, right?
Mm-hmm.
As it is right now, he has to ensure he has a unified DA. I mean, that is his task to perform as the core function of DA continues. But as it is right now, to say the president, other didn't step well, I think he acted proper. considering what he already knows. There are still some things not in public glare. The facts surrounding what's happening between or among these guys still speculated. So let's wait and see what the investigation is going to do. The only fear I have is there are so many investigations from time to time. From
we come into that. We come into that. Yeah.
It's a way of just
Yeah.
start scooping the situation. But
Mm-hmm.
this is of concern to us,
Mhm.
and it is that much concerning because of the crisis at hand. Years ago, we were talking about Kush, and then the very Abiy Kumar announced the arrival of another drugs tend to be stronger than Kush. Can you imagine?
Yeah, zombie.
Right. All of these in context are worrisome about our country. Less than 6 million people or so, and then dominant young people. So if we set up risk of that kind and we put folks in charge, to take leadership, and you get to know that they go personal, of course, somebody will say the president could terminate them, permanently. Well, that's the decision of the president. I mean, we are not the president. The president is Ambassador Joseph Boakai. So he makes that decision to say, you know what, you go rest for now. There's going to be investigation. You're not resting with pay. And let's wait and see how it plays out. But then the guy who is the fellow who is in charge, I mean, I really don't know his name, but the gentleman in charge, acting, should know that he has a security folks on drugs divided. So he has to ensure that the institution returns, normal.
Mhm. Okay, so Oscar, I don't know what are the repercussions when heads of government agencies are at loggerheads and at loggerhead. Okay, so the gentleman is Christopher Peters is the officer in charge. I don't know how whether he knows the enormity of the situation there, but like you said, this is the time to rise up. Right? For example, but let me come to you, Oscar. I paid a courtesy call on Noise Al Gibson this morning at the NTA. You know what? That entity is bound to succeed. What I saw, the managing director and his two deputies are so close and conferring with one another minute by minute. And when I went there, Noah had already told the people this man has no appointment, he can walk in anytime. So I took advantage of that today, and I went. I had to wait for 30 minutes because he and the MD and the two deputies, man, they were conferring how to transform the NT. As a matter of fact, a high-power delegation is off next week for India to bring spare parts. That's what happens when leaders of an entity or government spending entity are close and focused, unlike what happening at the DE. And Oscar, what message do you have for Mr. Peters, Christopher Peters, as officer in charge?
Yes, Chris. So before even going to the message to Mr. Peters, it's often said, I think it comes from the Bible, that how can two work together unless they
agree?
So if you have a situation where in the head, the first among equals, and his deputies are not on par with each other, they're not talking to each other, they are not comparing notes, how will the entity or the institution be able to be run? That is not possible. So I think, like we are both saying here, it was very appropriate that the president had to suspend them without pay, because this is not the first time, and the gentleman, as grown up and professional as they should have understood that, hey, we have to put our differences aside. We have come to do a piece of professional job, and we must get the job done. But if you don't do that, and you start acting on your personal issues, on your emotions, or perhaps there are professional issues, but you don't know how to go about, settling those professional issues, then it means you can work together, and that is going to stall, it's going to impede the productivity of the institution.
Certainly.
So I think, yes, it was very appropriate that the president had to suspend them. With regards to your first question, Chris, in crisis management, there is no one definite approach that is cast in stone. You know, I heard you referencing other situations in the past wherein, you know, one was suspended, the other remained, and things like that. No, it depends on the gravity of the situation. Don't forget now, the two deputies have earlier gone to the justice minister and written the justice minister with allegations against A.B. Kuma. Those allegations, as far as we are concerned, are very grave. So that automatically warrants an investigation. So you could not have kept A.B. Kuma on the job with such allegation and the two deputies be suspended. So it was wise enough to have suspended them. The message to the OIC now, Mr. Peters, I understand that he has some legal background too, and he got some security background. I don't know how true that is, but that's my understanding that he has some security background. He got small legal background. So it is about time that he rises up to the occasion. Know that in as much as he has gone there as an officer in charge, meaning he's not going to stay there, forever. It's just a temporary.
Who knows, Chief? You can't preempt. You can't preempt the president's action. The president, maybe
in that portfolio as OIC.
Our worry is that he's between the pair of Caesar. Both sides divided the entire entity. How is he going to mend the fences?
It's easy in my mind. And the reason I say this is because you did not have a situation where in one party left it. If you had a situation where in one party had remained, it would have been difficult. Because A.B. Kuma is suspended, Fadikai is suspended, the deputy for administration is suspended. So the three of them are out. If you had left A.B. Kuma there and the two deputies out, their supporters, their bodyguards, their staff will have had issues. If you have taken A.B. out and left any of his deputies there, or even the both deputies there, the bodyguards or the staff in A.B.'s office will have put out a non-compliant posture, against the officer in charge who's coming. So the fact that all three of them have been suspended, that in itself makes it, in my opinion, very easy for the OIC to be able to call a meeting and say, gentlemen, what has happened has happened. We are here to get the ball rolling because it is part of the president's agenda.
I mean, I agree with you, Oscar, but the fact is, it's not as easy as you may think, right? It requires strategy. And this OIC should have, his approach of takeover. Even when we're talking about the PR thing with the rest of the government, institutions, we can discuss more on that. But the reality is he's taking over as a crisis manager. Mm-hmm. The truth is that place has got loyalists. Folks are divided, whether sentimental or whatever reason, they're divided and they've cleaved to their boss of proximity. Mm-hmm. AB's guys, AB's admirers within the LDA may have cleaved to him. The same could be with Faliga, even though Faliga just coming on the security scene. But you never tell, right? So as it is right now, how is this officer in charge mend the fence? Bring the guys together. Mm-hmm. And that would even mean he has to be as ethical as possible, mm-hmm. right? He should not show any side, even if he had any sentiment or any ties with anybody, right? Let the people see him as somebody, well, it's not easy to say neutral, but as somebody who is centralized enough and able to move the LDA beyond crisis. Yeah. I mean, he has to be crisis sensitive. Yeah.
Okay, so before we open the lines for this segment, how you, George and Oscar, how is the Unity Party-led government going to manage this situation? And I've been confided in that this similar situation could explode at various government agencies. I don't know, and I intend not to name those agencies for now until we can. But what should we expect from the president? You already term it as distraction. Mm-hmm. If a repetition occurs at another entity, what could happen next?
Well, from a side, I think Mr. President needs to be robust, especially playing into the first year of his regime. The foundation matters. So there may be occurrences of such. We are humans, we always have our differences. What matters is how do we manage our differences to make the whole. And I think this is about leadership. Mr. President should show stronger leadership beyond even the suspension. You know, Let there be a very clear written report that will lead to public consumption. It should not be just this issue of security matter and let's keep it like this. The guy are personal. They've not really referenced any policy issue here that that may be responsible for the crisis. So what I can say right now is the people say the fish starts to get rotten from nowhere.
From the head.
Right? So Mr. President has 1 year. I mean, his name is for first year, and this first year is not just preliminary time. This is part of a core part of his regime because this is period of foundation. He's rebuilding institution, if I may say. He's appointing people of quote unquote integrity, people who need to work far beyond what we had just last year and below. And people who make the difference, that will help the government keeps public trust. So it's important for Mr. President to take this very serious. I mean, I've also eavesdropped some of the crisis points here, right? I mean, in government, and I'm hoping, especially those institutions with board of directors and you name the rest of the supervisory organs, should be sensitive, to the importance of coherence. Government needs to function. Liberia has to be delivered, like what do they say, rescued, the political term is rescued, and that is measurable thing. When you say rescued, it means somebody was somewhere in the dungeon or somebody was incarcerated or something, derailed the person or the situation for time. And then that person is going to move to a comfort zone. So we are waiting, Liberians are waiting to see our point, our current condition, moving over to a comfort zone. That would be the definition of rescue. And this is something that needs to come up every day, every month, every year within the 6 years.
Okay. So, Oscar, before we open the lines, do you want to chip in that, right?
Yeah. So, in Liberia, especially of late, since the past 2 decades or so, we have heard that most times some of those who are appointed in government are not at the behest of the chief executive or the president. There are others who make recommendations. Sometimes the president would not know, a particular person that is being appointed. So what I want to say here is that those who are recommending people should be able to know the kind of people they are recommending in terms of their ability to deliver, in terms of being professional. And that's why I think at a certain point in time, we sat on this radio and was calling for the need to have a specialized committee that will be set up to look into nominations of individuals to be sent to various government ministries and agencies. And then the president, maybe for example, you have a particular institution like RCF, for an example. You have like 10 persons who are applying for a particular position at RCF. You have that vetting committee who will scrutinize those names that will be sent, to that committee. And then onward, they will submit, I think, at least about 2 or 3 names to the president to make determination. In that way, it helps to mitigate most of these things. However, assuming without admitting that the president knows most of those who are appointed, it is left with those who are appointed who serving at the will and pleasure of the president to be able to understand that their actions and inactions can either help to make the government to succeed or to make the government to be graded as one of the worst governments. Nevertheless, it is with the president himself to be able to take some of these actions, because these are all human beings, human beings, we are not infallible. People make mistakes, but how will the leader be able to react when mistakes have been made, like we're seeing now in this case? You have professional people who should know better fighting among themselves. They are not able to work together. What did the president do? Did he sit and fold his hands? No, he did not sit and fold his hands. He took appropriate actions. So when these things come up that are not good or may not be good for his administration, his government, he should be able to take prompt actions.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. All right. So just let's hold on a little bit with. Okay. So let me bring this one on the investigation. I'm told the legislature has opened another front of investigation, but the question, the $1 million question is, or $64 million question could be whether we can trust this legislature. Remember, let me give you let me go into history. Under President Weah, the deputy director of the DEA, a lady then, was on tape saying she saw a representative, a lawmaker vehicle with controlled substances. She tried to stop it. She was intimidated. The president had weapons and stuff like that. She was summoned to the Capitol building, and on this day, this woman had gone to give further explanation. Some members of the legislature, of the 54th legislature, intentionally disrupted, intimidated this woman. And the next thing we saw was that the woman had to be rushed to hospital because she was nearing collapse. And she would have come back to tell the world or the country who was the lawmaker in possession of the controlled substances. That never materialized. She never came back. As example 2, a South African company, waste management company, came to invest in Liberia, in the waste management area, and it was reportedly mentioned in the media, or it was mentioned in the media that people at the executive mansion reportedly asked this company to give a $5 million kickback. And this company packed and left. The president suspended pending investigation. Results of those investigations never came out. The Press Union of Liberia filed a complaint to the government of harassment, intimidation of media practitioners. The Brooklet Committee was set up, and then investigation conducted, though was never published, presented to the executive mansion, but was never published. So how do we rely on these kind of investigations that are always announced every time political actions are taken? George?
Okay, good. Frank, not Frank.
You always you are Frank.
Frank is my closest media colleague. But Chris, this is why we have the media, and thanks for keeping your journals so accurately. You know, I mean, I'm admiring you doing these reflections. They're very excellent because they lead to informed discussions. You know, but as it is right now, there are two actors in our democracy that I think need to beef up. The folks in civil society, the folks in the media. You and I know that the media, one of the core functions of the media is watchdog role. And this is one thing we keep on reneging. You know, our watchdog role should especially...
Judge, we got a media company coming up.
Right. But the point I'm making here is politicians will always be politicians, right? They will always commit and renege. There has to be somebody, there has to be an authority, there has to be an extra organ that reminds them, that presses them, hold their feet to the fire. And that will be two groups of people, the media and civil society organizations, civil society as a whole. You know, we can run behind all the guns as far as civil society is concerned. But if we forfeit the function of being the voice of society, we do a lot to harm the society. So this is the point. The government commits to doing an investigation. Civil society should always lift its voice high to say, look, we are interested in knowing where the findings of the investigation are going to be. How far are we? Who is checking on what? The same thing with the media. I agree that news has to be fresh, but the news we tell today has got impact on the society, even beyond the.
Let me remind you again, we got a media component of this discussion coming up.
Yeah. But the point is, you were saying, where we
whether we can rely on this kind of investigation or something will come up.
It depends on the work we do. It depends on the work the ministry folks do. It depends on the work, the watchdog role that even civil society functions. Civil society performs. So my part is, let us not allow government to rest when it has made commitment it's supposed to live up to. We should remind them using our different channels. Even civil society can do all of that.
Okay.
As well as the media.
Yeah. So yes. So what you all of those you mentioned, it happened in the past. So we'll be looking up to the president now to see whether there's going to be an outcome of this investigation.
Okay. So this is where where Madeline just the point that she just struck. This is where I want to even begin.
Okay.
George. I know we might not have done a lot, when I say we, the media, because I'm a member of the media community. So I think I will be with you that the media needs to beef up, civil society needs to beef up. However, I can say for quite that the media did its best in, championing the need to come up with some of these findings from some of the investigations. However, it was left with the politicians or the leadership at the time to make these findings available to the public.
Right.
The government at the time ignored whatever that the media and the civil society, especially the media, because for true, the civil society was a little bit quiet. So the media was playing both the media role and the civil society role. We should not experience that. But guess what happened, George, and Liberians who are listening? Because the government failed on some of these things, they were part of the reasons why the government was booted out.
Right.
So if this government, if the Boakai administration decides to tread on that same path, that you set up investigation, you don't come up with the findings, the Liberians are left in the state of what we say utopia, and everything, people are confused. Just know that you are heading to be put out. It's very simple. It's very simple. We can make all the noise, the civil society can talk. It is left with them to decide whether they will listen or not. If they do not listen, they are out of the door.
I reason. This happens after 6 years. Yeah. To be effective, right? To be result oriented, it has to be something active and progressive, right? Now, this is the point. I agree with you, the media collectively and individually.
Why do you guys want to spoil my show today, or our show today? Why you want to jump into? I just announced to you, we got a component of media discussion.
But that question you asked, the one where is linking the civil society, the media, and the politicians.
Look, by connotation, politicians are deceptive. That's it, right? I hate to say that. But there are people all over the world, there are people you cannot trust at all times, right? Now, they play games. In politics, 2 + 2 may not necessarily be 4, right? I mean, the scientists will say the result is 4. Politicians will say 2 + 2 could be 0. 2 + 2 also could be 100. So it depends on the value you're merging. Now, so it is with them. It is an act of slippery game. What we now need to do as professional people serving in the media space, in civil society, is to ensure we follow them up. I don't want to use demand, but we always request for results. Like the president of Liberia, how much did the president do to ensure that the findings of the Bubler report was out and for public consumption?
Okay, so we come into that. But for now, let's take a break on 077-5144-278 or 077-28-59-61. Magdalene will manage the call. This is an intermittent break, and it's all about what this cost. And after, we will go to the last and final portion, the second and final portion of today's presentation on State of the Nation. Magdalene will manage the calls.
Good afternoon, Chris, and good afternoon, Magdalene, and to
Yes, sir.
students.
Yes, sir.
My name is Alpha B. Kid. Let me give you this part of my story. There was a donkey.
Got 1 minute, oh.
Yes, there was a donkey in the leopard that was arguing. The donkey said, "The screen of blue." The leopard said, "The screen." So the two of them died. Like, okay, Lepo, I told Lepo the grass is blue. And he said, "Grass is green." The king said, "Of course, the grass is green." Well, the Lepo said, "Okay, Lepo, the grass is green." And so you put me in jail for what? He said, "Of course, the grass is green." For an intelligent lady and brave to argue with the fool and not to waste my time to jump as a kid. That's why I will put you in jail. So they both and the boss, they acted just like the leopard. Whenever a fool shout, the wise man should be silent. There is no need for you to be arguing. These people, they didn't do the right thing. So I think the president should remove them because they have created a faction within the LDA. It's supposed to be like that.
Okay.
Responsible government want to see positive results.
Okay, so the falling of the dry leaves. Yeah, hello.
Hello, how you doing?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm someone H Bao and I'm calling you from Wakanda.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello.
Wasonga, you mean in Foya district? Let's hear you quickly. No, you got 1 minute. Got 1 minute. I was talking.
Yes, I can go on.
After the show, you get called.
Yeah, but just let's stick to the topic on the discussion, yeah? No, I'm not even seeing your number. So what you do, you can text or call after, yeah? Yeah, man. Your boss, man. Yeah, hello.
Why elucidate from?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Speak, oh, you want to take his side or no? That go. Okay.
All right. When people are talking something, don't just what I'm trying to say is, that raised the issue concerning with the boss, with the young girl. So that should be looked into. Okay. So it's very sad that this government go.
Oh, so you agree? Okay. All right, Chief. Yeah, the cause I will try to manage it. Hello. Yes, well, Chief, how you doing? 1 minute.
Thank you. Let me contact the founded in there. This is Pascal Davis.
Of the CDC.
What? Yeah.
Issue with the president getting rid of the immediate and the bosses at the institution. Once we think that the institution has not been left vulnerable, I mean, the boss is out, his immediate deputy is out, even the deputy for administration is also out. And so once we think that you've left the Electoral Justice Enforcement Agency very vulnerable, I mean, maybe when you want to agree, because there's some too, but I mean, that's a fact. In fact, if this issue has been issue all along, what has been the internal findings? I mean, somebody somehow is wrong. I mean, to wait until there's a fierce fight before decisions are taken to just get rid of the three bodies there.
So the place is not left vulnerable. I think they have.
No, I mean,
There's an officer in charge.
Exactly.
I mean, it's almost the impact of the DA.
Hold on, just hold on. I said, hold on.
So the three of them are out. The president is out. The three of them are out. Investigation is ongoing. So let's await, every one of us await the outcome. Uh-huh. Yeah, so you are making point. Yes. All right. Yeah. Hello. No, Chief. You got interest in the scholar?
They're using the studio line, so we should encourage people to use the studio line.
Yeah, but you can't have I don't know. What are you? Yeah.
Announce the studio line. Let it leave our private line.
Yeah, but he's standing in the noise. Hello. Yeah, we're begging you when you just step away from the monitor and the noise and everything, so we can understand what you want to say. Yes, Chief. Yes, sir.
The issue of the Justice Enforcement Agency is technical president is in the right direction. No, that's OIC and
It's a whole agency that have lieutenants, they have departments and everything else. So I say vulnerable. The guys just got there a few months ago.
Okay. All right, so let me take another caller. Hello. Yeah, yes, sir. Yeah, Emmett. Just hold the line. Yeah, why Emmett? I take Emmett. Yeah, quickly. Yeah, Emmett. Okay, yeah. Hello.
Take the last one.
The last?
Yes.
Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Well, the situation at the law enforcement agencies, they were very unfortunate. I'm really so sorry for Abraham Lamont being a military and all military. You know how you're on the man, this is second you in such a manner.
I think you also want to support the media thing. So let's see if it has the time.
Yeah, I know, right? Going to their boss office and rendering him insubordination. After he instructed them not to take weapons in office, and they insisted that they would do it. That was very wrong. You don't act like that. And if there should be any investigation into it, I think that the director will not be in that because he the found military said you don't do that to investigate the honor man and his boss. So really, I don't know. It's unfortunate. Thank you so much.
Okay. Okay, it is 16 minutes after 4 o'clock. We're going into the last second and last segment of the presentation today. It has to do with what people believe deteriorating the state of the Liberian media and at the whims and caprices of Liberian politicians. There's an on-ice press union of Liberia. Yes, you want to, okay?
Yeah.
So let's give a special dispensation to the elder.
Yeah.
Elder JKB?
How you doing? How are you?
I'm doing good. Elder Reverend, how are you? Let's hear you.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for the show. Let me say good afternoon to Oscar and Joy Stewart. Thanks for your collaboration this afternoon. I think, Grace, I said that the administration, the executive administration is brought into the picture this time around. But the new gentleman and I, heated argument that went before to the justice minister, to the presidency, and all of that. And if they persist on doing what they're doing, then of course they want to endanger the censure by the action that they were exhibited from them. For me, the two should have been let go at this time. However, the guy who is appointed Christopher Peters and Christopher Peters really is going to do his best. It's not new to the security of Liberia. If I say it's no room for the police to gather to do it.
This is in the work for the year. That's a work for the year. What is it from? It used to be in the banks.
Criminal justice, Lord, background, I think you do your best, but even the benefit of the doubt, play your role and serve that institution.
Okay.
Of the mind that you do is best.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Jay Coverby, one-time head of radio and program here. It seems like this is a homecoming, even though we are resisting it. This is now a homecoming. So this has been Franklin on the platform where civility matters, though we speak truth to power. Josh Stewart, a media developer, and Oscar Mulba, a member of the Media Civil Society group. They analyzing some contemporary political issues here on State of the Nation. So next is the media. As I was saying before the call came from JKB, there are believed that the Liberian media, has taken a nosedive, and it came. The nosedive was so rapid instead of a gradual, but so rapid that nobody guys in Liberian media anymore. That's another side of the argument. Another side of the argument states that there are still some professionals in the media. They refuse to be bent. They refuse to compromise. But the potential of them compromising is high because of the lack of amenities being a media practitioner in the country. Josh, let's kick off this one.
Thank you, Chris. One of the recent microscopes that the media placed itself on was the election, and we should acknowledge the fact that the media played significant role during the electoral process. That is highlighted into the Carter Center report and other international observatory groups. Everywhere, there seems to be some sort of media presence in this country, which is in number, the media is there. You have around 130 radio stations, recorded across the country. So everywhere, as far as Liberia is concerned, there is a radio signal. That wasn't the case, some time ago. Proliferation, yes, high. Some 40 plus newspapers, and then the online, organs are in numbers. So media presence, Liberia enjoys that. The issue, the threat is, and I just shoot just nail it on the head, the media economy is bad. This undermines the number of quality trainings done in the sector. I'm a trainer, like you know. I participate in training activities as far as media are concerned, whether short-term, long-term training. Yes, I'm into that. But here is the point. You can teach all the ethics from the latest textbooks. You can teach all the pedagogy as far as media are concerned. I mean, all the things they need to know, you can teach all of that. At the end of the day, the fellow has to go back into his newsroom, into his content, space, and practice journalism. His employment doesn't pay off. It's either he makes less than $50 that doesn't come at all, or he doesn't take pay. Now you have to be thinking about, why do we have people, officials of our judiciary taking more pay, judges taking more salary, more immunities all in there? It is only because it's a place of ethics. And whatever that could tempt the personnel from upholding ethics, from upholding the law, is something you cannot overlook. This is the problem of journalism. How do we address this kind of situation as a resource mobilizer? I would think media developers, grants, there's so many. This is one time that you have multi-million dollars in our country for media development. This is no secret. Interest News manages huge grants. We can do all the content training necessary, but we have to direct some of these investments into media business.
What is that? Media business
would be, how can, for instance, RCR, how can RCR make the money that it needs to get this institution afloat, to uphold integrity, uphold ethics? So Chris, who works for RCR, will work in the space of integrity, will work in the space of dignity. So the point is, media folks are not raising the money. And I have this news for you, especially newspapers and in fact radio stations. If we're thinking that the usual rate sheet to say 30 minutes is $50, announcement is this, announcement is the other advertisement is this cost, the traditional revenue stream of the media will always decline. It is on his way out. If you have a newspaper and you're thinking people are going to be advertising vacancies in there, well, change your mind. Online presence makes the deal for advertisers. That is eminent. That if I going to go beyond that, look, I can start this instance. Premier Times, Nigeria used to be 1 million copies a day in circulation. Today, Premier Times only exists online. Why is it that way? One day, Premier Times woke up and they printed their papers. Only 10,000 bought. Premier Times caught itself that digital presence, online presence, new media presence has asked us to change our mind. So they are all squared online because they could not survive the change, the wave. Liberian media should be thinking that way. It's a compulsion. It's no option. We have to be thinking about what in the first place administratively does it take for RCR to uphold its integrity, to uphold credibility. What does it take for each of our staff to be here? You have to count the cost. That's the first administrative thing to do. Count the cost. Another thing to really do that, whether your daughter will still be waiting for you, is what does this institution stand for? What is the niche of this? What's the philosophy of this institution? If you check what's happening in the Liberian media, especially radio, almost every radio does the same thing. The same program formatting.
And yeah, I'm not calling the same news pattern.
Yeah.
The news, views, interviews of about Liberia, and nobody wants to change.
It's a terrible thing. We have to be thinking about how do we diversify the income of this place? Because by the way, there is going to be no smooth, no admired democracy in the absence of vibrant media. That's inevitable. So we have to think about it. The sector has to think about itself. It's a pity for our press union that's supposed to be leading us into this direction. The changing world phenomenon is there, and grass is there.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's pity that the PUL that's supposed to be leading us in this transition into the world of digital migration in media publication is dead. Those are the words of Josh Stewart, the media developer. Oscar, man, I see you nodding your head. I'm catching you on the screen this way, nodding your head as if Josh is. Yes, Oscar, let's hear you.
When you are seated with someone who is well schooled, well knowledgeable in the area, you will only just sit and smile as I'm doing and nodding your head. So George has hit the nail on the head, and I can tend to agree with him more than what he has said. I would only like to add that the problem is compound complex, in my opinion. And it is very pathetic that, like you said in your intro, Chris, that those who are professional are almost getting to the point of being corrupted as a result of things that are unfolding. So you try to keep your professionalism, you try to keep your ethics, yet you are not seeing it paying off for you, even from the very institution that you work for. You're seeing some of the guys who are, they know what to do, but they are not doing what is expected of them to do. And you see that these are the guys who are well off. Some of them are considering themselves as elite journalists, or this class system now is getting into the media. So yes, I can understand, because I'm myself, and I'm happy that we have somebody who's not a journalist, but who understands, the things that journalists go. George,
who told you that man was a TV newscaster at DC? Yes. That man, we clash on so many occasions on the field. So sometimes, not
okay, so it is very important, and like I said, it's a compound complex thing, because yes, George has talked about the media economy, the need to invest into the media. In other countries, you see that happening. But Chris, yes, what I also think. So I also think that number one, we lacking leadership within the media.
Yeah.
If you look at, without, I'm not trying to be disrespectful to any media executive or media owner, but I think leadership is a problem, in my opinion. Some of those who are seated over, the media, whether it be the print media, the electronic media, a number of them lack the leadership, the leadership ability. Because there's leadership, you will definitely understand that the materials, the equipment are not just all to it that matter, but what also matters is the personnel development. How many of our media institutions, print or electronic, that you see around here, that the leadership will say, well, we have to invest in personnel development, in human resource development. How many of the institutions are doing that? All they are concerned about is that you should come to work. Sometimes the condition that should precipitate or that should commensurate with a very good work environment, those conditions are not provided, yet you expect the employees, you expect the staff to do their best. So you are not developing your staff in terms of building their capacities, but you want them to be professional. You want them to be at their best. You want productivity. You are not paying them. You don't care. You hear people talk about, oh, you got to come to work, you got to do this one, don't miss this, we'll suspend you, we'll do this. But how are you enhancing the work of the people? So leadership in itself, and George talked about innovation. How will you have innovation when you don't have leaders who should know what to do and how to go about doing that? Some of them feel that, okay, well, since the fact that I have this radio station, I have this newspaper, I am the law and gospel. So they tend to forget that you are running administration or you are running a management wherein decision should not just come from top to bottom, but decisions can even come from bottom to top approach.
Okay.
So there's nothing, I come in, Chris, besides that, even we ourselves, the journalists, and I continue to say this everywhere I go. Chris, if people will believe in you, if people will invest in you, it means that you yourself, you have to step up to your games. We see a lot of young folks who got the desire, they got the aspiration to be journalists, to be media people, but some of them feel very satisfied with the certificate, just the journalism certificate. Some do not even have the journalism certificate. A lot of our journalists nowadays, especially for those who consider themselves as talk show hosts, a lot of them don't research. A lot of them have issues with the way they speak on radio. Who wants to do business with somebody who is just clueless? Who wants to do business with somebody who's not professional, who just sits on radio and by the time they tell one or two things, then they open the telephone line? You don't have research ability. Some of them are not teachable, and they are not willing to make themselves teachable. So people will want to do business with somebody who they feel that, okay, yes, we think that this person is standing up. We know that it's hard. They're standing up. But hey, a lot of us will take our telephone. I get this information on you. When you send this one. So on professionalism.
Okay. 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 No, but I just want to buttress just what he said.
Okay.
Right? Okay. He said, unless you threaten a politician who wouldn't respect you. Let me tell you, as a media developer myself, I have divided contemporary journalism into 3 areas. 1, the professionals. 2, the blackmailers. 3, the bootlickers. Okay, that was my initial question to Josh. Unless something is done, these professionals on top here, they are in trouble.
Yeah.
Because those who are the movers and shakers of our economy, they don't respect you if you are professional. No. They don't. But hey, I got something on you. If you don't do this one, I'm going to do this one. Yeah. Then they will delay you a little bit. And then you come on the radio or in the newspaper, you touch it a little bit. And then the next thing, they will send an emissary. Please call this man so we can talk it out. At the end of the day, you are working with your brown envelope. You are paid for doing the wrong thing. The bootlickers, that's a blackmailer. The bootlickers, whether you see the person doing the wrong thing, because you want favor from the person, you praise them. I'll give you a newspaper headline. That was on yesterday. For God's sake, Monday, there was a clash at DEA between 2 presidential appointees. On Tuesday, a newspaper is carrying on the headline, the DEA of A.B. Chromasco 100% in 100 days. That's bootlicking. Then you want the people to respect you? You want the people to respect you?
And the fear of public trust.
Exactly. And it's in the Journal's Creed. Why are you grading them 100% when they have just misstep? Some of them are our friends, but we shouldn't bite our tongue on this.
Chris, here's the thing. Sorry to interrupt you, right?
You're not the one presenting this show.
I my hands are up.
All right. Let's hear you.
So Chris and Magdalene, we condemn that. You know, the bootlickers, the naysayers, those who are blackmailers. We condemn all of these actions because yes, they are posing enormous threats to those who are professionals. However, I also like to blame again the media owners, the media executives, because Chris, if thankfully, like George referenced, we got over 100 plus radio stations. The politicians are opening the radio stations, but are they paying the staff the way they should be? Look, if you go to a radio station now, you know, I don't want to use where I'm sitting, right, to be protected. But if you go to a radio station and ask on what is the basis? What is the basis of your pay structure for your staff? Are you paying them based upon workload? Are you paying them based upon qualification? You will not easily hear the answer. You will not easily hear the answer. So if you have a radio station, a newspaper, that you are not paying the person based on his or her qualification or on his or her workload, and they are doing, they are doing almost all of the work. The person has the BSc degree. You're not paying them based upon the degree. You're not paying them based upon the workload. They come from in the morning to in the night. You're not paying them. So the qualification is one thing. Then the little salary you're giving them, it's not coming in time. For heaven's sake, people say, people got to survive, which is not a good thing. But you leave the man with no action, the person becomes vulnerable. If you owe somebody 7 months, you owe somebody 9 months, you owe somebody 5 months, how in the hell you expect the person to move, to work? But all you care about is efficiency and productivity. What makes the person efficient? What makes the person to produce? All you care about is to design the institution, to give it payslip, but the workers are not happy.
Okay, thank you so much. Let's go to this video. I queued it purposely for this discourse, and this is it.
President of Liberia President, the President of the Republic of Liberia, His Excellency Dr. George Manuel Weah, to commission a transparent and broad-based investigation of the accused security agencies and the officers of complicity in these support for human rights violations with a view to penalizing those who will be found guilty.
The journalist did not pull out referring the matter to ECOWAS officials. Liberian authorities have promised to look into the matter. In December 2018, George Weah promised to guarantee 100% freedom of expression and freedom of the press. He's accused of being slow to deliver on those promises.
Okay, so that's an Al Jazeera news report on Liberia. Journalists were presenting petition, and it was well received. You heard the then Minister of State for Presidential Affairs, Hannah McGill. A committee was set up headed by former Information Minister Larry Brooklyn. Peter Kwekwe had to recuse himself from that committee because, for what he said, lack of coordination. But the Brooklyn committee is on record to have stated, to have carried out the investigation. It was never published, but I know, I got the confidence, it was confided in me by a member of the committee, though I have not been able to authenticate this with the committee chair, Larry Brooklyn. But the committee presented the report and the police was in red in that report. Out of embarrassment, the government decided not to publish the report. Decided not to publish. But guess what? We're talking about bootlicking. The Press Union of Liberia, from that moment, even up to the time the report was not released or it's yet to be published, every time at press gathering, Press Union Day, anniversary or World Press Freedom Day, these politicians were the one being called to come and speak. So I took a defensive moment or posture. If there is this anniversary and this politician is called to come and speak, I will not go and sit under that politician on a World Press Freedom Day in the absence of the publication of a report released in favor of journalists at the expense of the Liberia National Police. But here we are, George and
Yeah.
Oscar.
So, Chris, as a development worker, if we identify problems, it's good to also talk about how do we solve the problems. Other than that, we're just going to be, usually or normally criticizing. What can be done to get the media on course? This is one word I would tell all media managers, all media institutions, including this Truth FM we're using. This is the time you take a retreat. Go for retreat, call for professional guys who can facilitate. They're not part of your staff, they're not part of your challenges or whatever. Look at yourself as an institution. Look, journalists are the ones doing journalism, but the institutional managers are usually the stewards of the place. And interestingly, those of us who are journalists, or those of you who went to journalism school, you got a degree, very minimal is taught in management, in media management. I mean, this is institution. This institution must have a vision, it must have a goal, it must have a strategic plan, it must have everything that, the bank or, a company will have. This is a company. Retreat and hold a retreat. Look at yourself as an institution. What do we stand for? In fact, this 2024, what is it we're going for? Let your reform not just be, a clear decks reform. Where one manager, maybe the CEO or somebody says there, I'm coming to reform that place. On what agenda? Each media institution now needs to go and look at itself. How do we fit in this contemporary time? There's absolutely nothing we can do when it comes to the effectiveness of new media. It will always swing across. You think, why is it that we have all these quote-unquote citizen journalism, political commentators, and everything else, right? These guys do not just need a social media platform, and because they can talk like any of us, they equate journalism to talking shop. They just talk.
And that's where I differ with the former U.S. ambassador here. He said journalists are in America using computer-generated platforms to talk. And I differ. I said, no, they're not journalists. They're just making use of journalists' gadgets.
So
they're not journalists.
Where are the journalists? Where are they?
Well, there should be a brief dream.
Right. I mean, we can say attrition, and that term is usually attributed to community radio, but attrition here. Look, the other side of this thing is the media developers need to begin looking at they call them commercial radio stations, but they are the cream of journalism in Liberia. So usually the media developers are going to get attracted to the community radio because the community radio, quote unquote, is non-profit, community owned, right? It's different thing right now. As far as journalism is concerned, the folks who drive journalism are the people in commercial media. So if we need journalism to improve, with all the investments from across the world, the U.S. government, the Swedish government, journalism to improve, we have to work with commercial media institutions here. We have to ensure they have the capacity, we have to ensure they have the baseline resources for business, so that they make good business. We have to ensure that we coach them to diversify their resources. Every institution has got its own opportunities right around. Like True FM. If you sit down and do a SWOT of True FM, you get to know that resources right around True FM. It has the potential to pay somebody $1,000 here. I'm being real with you.
So let me hold you there. Sorry, there's a breaking news coming in from Totma Bragg, Obama County. Tension is said to be brewing there after the Ministry of Public Works reportedly lifted the moratorium on conveying the iron ore via trucks between Monrovia and Freeport. This Burma Sandro is in Totma Bragg. Burma, are you there? What's happening? What's the latest in Totma Bragg? So quickly, let's hear what's happening there.
facilities around us to show that no truck leave from where we go. And this is happening because of the way people perceive the government, and the government is not in the interest of the people of Mummy. And the essence of that is that the government of a decision to the Ministry of Public Rights to suspend, but the government of provision to suspend their new protagonist on the 2024. Unfortunately, surprisingly, on day 9, the same Ministry of Public Rights came back to say the candidates wanting to go for the ground that they already have
The ship out of Freeport, yes, that was mentioned. Yes. What next?
It was at that point before the constitution had decided to have come up with a so then when the constitution came the down to the ground that there will be no living from Bumi County to go on, I mean, for certain reasons, reaching from the foundation of the movement, including other issues of the confidence that working on the MDA, the Mineral Development Agreement, as we speak, the people of Mummy are confused. The which document is the government of the region currently. April, the first regime gave the company
Yes, so yeah, we know the Western Cluster is operating on an MOU.
Currently, so let's find out quick because we're actually running out of time. You said tension is mounting, and do you have police around where you are or where the people are gathering? Are they gathering?
So the people are able to get on the road because the information coming in that the trucks are all down to go. It's not the man to go. According to the permit,
So where are the police? Where are you gathering? Okay. Okay, Brahma, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Mr. Sano.
Thank you so much for filing in that alert. This platform cannot independently confirm what that is saying, but there is a need to reach out to the Western Cluster and the government through the Ministry of Public Works. That was just news breaking, and this has been an issue in Tottenham Bragg and all the way down to Douala on the route. So this discussion continues.
You stopped at $1,000.
There are enough resources around us. George, how are you seeing those resources area that we're not seeing?
Oh yeah, Chris, and you know, the only reason why I would think the way I think is because in addition to my media career, I spent almost 20 years in nonprofit. I'm still into nonprofit. So my part of nonprofit is actually resource mobilization, the one you would say program. So I think beyond the other area, that doesn't make me extra though. It's just the alertness, you know, that look, every challenge has availed itself an opportunity, or sometimes multiple opportunities. So I strongly believe if you sat down with if you had the opportunity to sit down with the management of True FM or True FM folks to take a retreat, I'm just using True FM as an example, and probably people are already making 1,000 or plus. I don't know your pay structure, you know that. So I'm just using you for example. But take for instance, Inquirer newspaper. I'm proud of Inquirer newspaper. Inquirer did that. Inquirer, I was one of the facilitators. I was not the only, but I was one of the facilitators, right? At the retreat. It gave them the opportunity to look at themselves. It didn't matter how long it had lasted. As a matter of fact, the fact that it had lasted since they say it's the first post-war newspaper, whatever the history is, it is an advantage, it's a strength, right? Whatever the challenges were, they will identify and they are systematically being solved. So it's interesting to know that they're becoming sizable family, but happy family. You know, it can happen in any institution. In fact, all of the institutions, the BB NGOs and everything, everyone does this thing. It is only us who are watching the dog. We watch dogs. You know, we're watching dogs. I mean, we watch dogs, but we're not watching ourselves. Perhaps we need a little bit pull the camera on ourselves and look ourselves in our secret room and see what are our challenges. One of the big, let me tell you one of the strengths right now, which is something to be proud of. You are one of the highly, widely, transmission radio stations here. You're wild. Your transmitter, your transmitter is technical.
Yeah.
But your coverage is admirable. Where even some of the radio stations are struggling to reach, you're there.
Yeah.
That's strength.
Yeah, sure. We just got a call from Wasonga. That's just close to the Sierra Leone border from the Foya end.
Right. So there's strength here. There are opportunities here. You got communities all around, you got the people all around you here. It's interesting to know that even the Dupo where you are, they're proud of you. How do you know? What is your community relations? Money here, money to the other areas, money everywhere. We're not just saying it. We're working on it, but we're not saying it.
Okay. So let me hold you there. Oscar, this issue about media, which I just played you the video and equated the PUL's action to bootlicking. I don't know whether you got any statement or to make on this one.
No, I think I support you on that. I think I support you. If you had a situation wherein something happened to a number of your members as a union, and the report was swept under the carpet, and you decide to still be calling those very same politicians, it means that something is wrong somewhere. So unless we begin to take some radical actions, we would not reach to the point to say enough is enough. So I think I support you on that. But quickly to what George was saying, and the question you asked, why are you not seeing the opportunities around? I just earlier stated that leadership is one of the major problems. But Chris, yes, why you want to say you as an institution or any other media institution that could fall in that is this sole proprietorship mindset. And thankfully, George is here as a media developer. Politicians are opening the radio stations, which is a good thing, right? But you hear somebody say, this is my radio station, this is my this is my that. When you do that, you enclose yourself to ideas that will be able to push the institution forward or to the upward, the upward level that you want to see it. If you think that, okay, this is your radio station, this is your newspaper, and you're going to do it the way you want to do it, you're going to run it the way you want to run it, you are not running a management, you're not running an administration, then look, you will not see the opportunities around. If you decide as a leader, the manager, and you decide to be listening to gossip in administration, I did administration. In administration, we say that you should put the right people at the right
No,
places.
but these are not media attributes. Leave that alone. What do you call listening to gossip? We're talking about the viability of the Liberian media. You say,
how do we see the opportunities and strength? So if you blinding your eye as a leader,
that one you on your own.
Okay.
What would you? Okay, so we
You are never protected.
No, but the panelist is going off track. Okay. Okay. So, Josh, something is coming up, and we have to be mindful of, especially in the security sector, those who carry weapons, right? We heard about Ben Ellis, my good friend in Nimba County, who frustratedly shot himself 3 times in the head, according to a government report. An agent of the elite presidential guard. Of recent, I saw, I'm allergic to seeing pool of blood. And then somebody in the PUL chat room, somebody plays the lifeless body of this AFL soldier who allegedly shot himself in the head, allegedly 6 times,
6 times.
with an automatic rifle. Whether we see it as possible or not, it's something we should look at. Why are people taking their lives in this kind of a heinous way? Should we start talking up? Do we have counseling sections in some of these security apparatus? Maybe if we could have some sections, what's happening to the DA wouldn't have happened. I'm told, though it's not yet confirmed by this platform, I'm told that those who were at loggerhead in DA had weapon. What should we do with this one?
Right.
We on this one for 5 minutes.
Right, Chris. There is a report. I think I need to lay here on that report and share. But I think Carterson or somebody did a study on the psychology of Liberians. Right. There's this report that significant number. I think 90 or 80% of Liberians have got some psyche problem. Yeah. Here's the history. Right. War. Disease outbreaks, poverty, corruption. Just name all the crisis points of Liberia. So to say this country is normal, in the heads of Liberians, is being unrealistic. And the security sector, they all form part of the country, whether education or whatever. You wouldn't imagine if you're covering education, some of the things are happening in the classes, right? Some of the responses of school administrators, the hospital, everyone has got some problem. And we have to be very serious about psychosocial support. Particularly now, we're talking about men in arms, right? Can you imagine somebody who carries a weapon may not be thinking right? There could be several reasons why the person is not thinking right. I don't know the setup, the psychosocial setup of the military, but we have to be serious about all of our institutions within the security sector. When folks start to fight over arms in a violent, prompt culture, society like ours, is dangerous. And I think leadership has to be reawakened. People need to be attracted to all of these danger points because now is one. We don't know how many of that will happen in a considerable period of time, or in fact, how can arm carrying folks be dangerous to the society that they're supposed to protect? So that my caution will be authorities have to just put some quality time on the psychosocial support, of their guys, of the army, police, whatever. But people got issue. Yeah,
okay, people got issue, and yes, Oscar.
I thank God that you brought up this issue and accepted to bring it up. My proximity with the army. Sometimes we get to wonder what's really going on. So I have been speaking with some of the hierarchies, those in the leadership, about the need to hire experts, subject level experts, to come into the army, the various barracks, and have some conversation, conduct a survey or study, with the soldiers and see what's happening. Because assuming without admitting what the news is carrying that this soldier shot himself 6 times, that means something is wrong somewhere.
Something wrong.
So we need a team of professionals to go into the military to speak with the soldiers and see what are their issues.
But you were close to them. Why you come here to recommend that? You almost a paramilitary person.
No, I am not, and that's why I always tell you, please don't give me what I do not have. So, with George just talk about the media elevating these things, civil society elevating these things. So we need to. I am not very sure as to whether the AFL has a psychosocial or counseling department. So I am not very sure, and I stand to be corrected. So if the AFL doesn't have, then there is a need to have one. But in the meantime, we need to be able to invest into professionals who will go into the barracks, the EPK barracks, the camp shuffling, and be able to conduct a study. And I think I've been proposing that. The only thing I was told to meet the chief of staff, I've been a little bit busy with school, so I've not been able to meet him along with the deputy chief of staff. I'm hoping that I can be able to communicate this formally to the office of the chief of staff and the defense minister to ensure that we can have a team going into the barracks. It should not be about the leadership. Let them get themselves out of it. Let the experts from outside.
But Oscar, I wanted to know as to what are the correspondents covering the police? I mean, the military. Are there reporters covering that subject matter?
Well, I can't speak with
for this institution. No,
speak with any certainty, unless sometimes when you're having a program, then you call the reporters. So we need to launch a full scale survey.
Those days we used to have our defense correspondent, and this person now is in government. Mark Jabate was True FM defense correspondent. He always gave those days on Ashmore Street.
So I will hopefully meet with the leadership this week, and I will sell the idea. Maybe I can even have George come along with me. We could do it in writing or whatever. I think there's a need to conduct a survey or a study to know what's happening with the soldiers.
Just be mindful as you engage. Who knows? The Rafa could just.
But it's not the first time. It is not the first time.
First time shooting. I mean, suicide, right?
No, it's not the first time in the army. And this year.
I didn't know the importance about counseling. I didn't know the importance of counseling until the day I was sitting WIAC. From the SDA, we were assigned at First AG on Buchanan Street. There used to be a woman there. I did a woman. I want to believe she stayed there. Mrs. Johnson. She offered 30 minutes of her time ahead of the administration of tests to give us counseling. I went to the test, not happy, hungry, and hating myself. While I'm going to waste my time all here, yet nowhere to turn. And the 30 minutes that she offered, man, I got rejuvenated to sit the WIAC and coming up with flying color. So that is the power of psycho counseling. Gentlemen, ladies, we've come to the end of another edition of State of the Nation. This was lined up by Magdalene Finda Sa. And unfortunately, if I'm interested in it, I'm taking my leave today. Tomorrow is the for this week. I'm not taking. I will take the leave. No, you do it. You're gonna do the anti-drug. In fact, you guys had so many things to talk about. The very day the two guys were fighting was the day they announced that they caught a Sierra Leonean security officer.
I was thinking about to get Mr. Kumar to appear on the show.
I called him on Monday.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, my call coincided with the situation. We're sorry, but that is the wisdom of the president. Let's wait and see
you
get
tomorrow.
the outcome of the investigation.
See you tomorrow.
Gentlemen, Josh and all, thanks so much for making yet another professional appearance.
Yeah.
Let those who the cap fit wear it. And we did this with no apology. I'll close up with this one. I attended a media meeting with the government. And the government wants to work with the media. The government sat and the media practitioners pumped the government with all their situation. Ranging from debt payment, publicity payment, and coming all the way to working with select group of media houses. These are the agents of our public relations. And the government, I'm not speaking for the government, but the Minister of Information seems to have been open. And I think there's going to be a new media environment, not necessarily dancing at the wigs and caprices of the government, but there is a day promise for a new media environment. And so it is left with us, media practitioners, to put our houses in order, especially at the level of the Press Union of Liberia. Josh? 1 minute, and Oscar 1 minute.
Thank you, Chris. And at this point, I mean, Oscar can further be convinced that he took a very prudent decision to widen the scope of his organization, because there's a lot to do, pro-democracy media group, a lot to do. Thanks for the time. It's always an opportunity to be here and share. I've significantly learned from the team, prolific newscaster, producer like Oscar. Thanks, Chris, for the time. It's just about time for us to rethink media. We need to rethink media, from academic study to the media management to the kind of journalism. We need to just rethink media. If you follow up what media curriculum is right now in this 21st century age, you will be shocked. And so we cannot always be left behind the global village. We're supposed to be part of the global village. And the essential function of the media in the Liberian society is something that we cannot dodge around. Let's buckle up, let's rethink, let's avoid being complacent. And you're going to see we're going to have a better sector. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you, Oscar.
Thank you. I really thought to have provided some level of enlightenment around this thing in the public about the entry of weapon into AB's office at the LDE and the restraining action on the part of his security. Nevertheless, I think it was a good show. I know maybe we try to have respect to the fact that it's under investigation. So I want to say thanks to you and Magdalene. The Bible says, he that is good should continue to remain good. He that is wise should continue to remain wise. He that is hardworking should continue to remain hardworking. I say this to mean that those of us and those of you media practitioners, journalists who are under the sound of my voice at the moment and subsequently will be watching these lives, I want you to continue to remain professional. I know it is hard, but let's continue to remain professional. And those of you who feel very complacent with just your certificate, please make sure you can advance yourself. It's also very important. Do not feel satisfied with where you are. Some don't even have certificate, just a passion. Please make sure you can advance yourself, because the more you advance yourself, the more our media becomes, an institution, a company that people want to do business with, want to listen to, want to invest into. But if you are limited, it becomes a problem. So thanks. Liberia deserves better, and we should all try to continue to keep the peace.
Thank you very much. We sign off this afternoon in this manner. Tomorrow there will be more discussion on the upcoming. The Advanced Media Consultancy is heavily loaded. This quarter, Advanced Media Consultancy with its partners organizing the strategic communication training course and that of the agriculture symposium, all coming up. Tomorrow we do more. But this is how we leave on this edition. And after this so next is the Aslamita Haval.
Yeah, so tomorrow is the drug show for anti-drug awareness. Thank you. And the panelists are all set, ready for a wonderful discussion tomorrow. Unfortunately, we should have had someone from the DEA.
But brave funny guy and Eddie, that will be the panelists.
Anyway. All right, so it's going to be a wonderful time.
Thank you so much.
George, thank you. May I actually get your contact numbers?
Yeah.
I was
on the panel. I won the panel of the issue